first question that I have, it is about your system. What classification of the head punching you have in your system? Is it some classification of it?
Well, I don't know what you mean by classification, but our primary target is the head. In other words, we're headhunters because where the head goes, the body goes. So all of our trapping, all of our techniques are to bring the opponent in closer to you so that you can strike them in the head. Now, it's how we hit and where we hit that's important. In other words, it isn't just hitting me in the head.
Mm-hmm.
Because in order to get the maximum effect from a punch, you need the two factors of how you hit and where you hit.
Mm-hmm.
Because a boxer usually just relaxes and goes with the blow. So therefore, he keeps on fighting.
Yes.
And we want to affect the brain. Jolt it so it knocks the person out. So when we strike in two ways. One, we strike what they call a concussion punch, which is we strike in about an inch and then retract it very fast. That's called a concussion punch.
Concussion.
We punch it what they call a 45-45. It simply means that I punch at you at a 45-degree back and a 45-degree up. So the head turns this way, not this way or this way. That affects the way that the brain joggles in the skull and knocks the person out. So this is why we look at science. We look at Bruce Lee's approach to how do you get the maximum of effect with the least amount of effort. So if you want to hurt someone, knock someone out, they happen to be much bigger than you, then you can't just hit them. You have to hit them in such a way as that you get maximum effect. And a 10-year-old could knock me out easy. And I'm 225 pounds. I don't know what that is your thing, but 225 pounds is fairly good size.
Yeah, this is much, of course.
10-year-old hitting us correctly would knock me out very easy. So when I teach the science of martial arts. That's why I call it DeMile JKD. I have Wing Chun Do as a system and DeMile Self-Defense as a system, and both are just long, piece-by-piece techniques. Whereas when I teach my DeMile JKD, I focus on the core principles, so that the person can add them to their own system. They can expand it into what they believe is their martial arts. But what they're using is Bruce Lee's core principles. And that means entry, engagement, and trapping. So when we talk about hitting in the head, it's just not a simple statement or punching.
What targets we have to what kind of targets?
Target is the head is primary.
Head.
Other than that, we try and hit in the solar plexus area because it affects both lungs.
Yeah.
That's where I floating punch, because the floating punch acts as a twisting kind of energy rather than a direct energy like you do with boxing. It's circles.
Yes.
And so it collapses the lungs.
Yes.
Now you can only do this really easy if you hit into the solar plexus itself, because it's a weak point where the rib carriage spreads out, but it's underneath, so the blow goes up into the lungs.
Yes.
If you hit in either side of the lungs, you can collapse one lung or the other, but the closer that you hit to the sternum itself, the stronger the rib carriage is. So I'll get about 2/3 of the way around in the side, because that gives a lot of flex to the rib carriage, and that way there the blow can carry in. Other than that, we don't punch into the shoulder or into the stomach or anywhere else, although you could. But anytime that you punch low, that means that you are dropping your body line low in order to reach it.
Yes.
Which makes you vulnerable to upper strikes. So we don't strike low because our trapping the hands in such a way as that they're always locked into the body, or so it really eliminates lower strikes because the arms are in the way. But we like to strike in the solar plexus, the floating ribs, or the head.
I understand. Do you have some classification of the leg kicks?
It's our primary kick. It's an entry kick or it's a blocking kick, but I don't use it because I'm too heavy. I'm not tall and I'm heavy. So I never kick my feet off the ground, but there are a lot of my students who love to kick. They're really light, they're very fast, And so the two kicks we teach in our system are the sole kick and the snapping toe kick. It's just a flash, boom, and it's over. Mm-hmm. It's very often an entry kick. The sole kick I teach mainly as an applied tool to women's self-defense, because they can easily destroy somebody's knee. They can do it at very close quarters. Yeah. They can do it without any setup. Uh-huh. We only have two kicks in the system, the sole kick and the snapping toe kick.
Maybe you have some classification of the opinion, the opponent kicks.
Well, you never kick unless you got a fairly certain target. In other words, I would never kick because I'm not fast enough, I'm not fluid enough. But a person who can kick in a blink of an eye if he's good. Mm-hmm. So therefore, I'm assuming that he's drawn the person up, opening up the lower gate. Uh-huh. Plus, it's very hard to defend against a sole kick because you can't tell a sole kick is coming. In other words, how do you block something you don't see? Mm-hmm. We have what they call a blind line attack, where you cover your leg so his eye cannot see that you're kicking. Uh-huh. So a person cannot, it's very, very difficult other than to move out of range or move to the right or left to defend against a sole kick, because you can't see it. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is that it is something that is just part of an upper attack. It's not just a kick by itself. Usually it's part of an upper torso attack. It's something with the hand. So the opponent really has a very, very, very difficult time trying to defend against our kind of kicks. Mm-hmm. Now, when you see MMA, you see Thai boxing. Yes. It's very visual. Yeah. They're at a, which we don't. Yeah,
of course. Don't have.
That's great for competition, but it's stupid in the street fight.
I understand. Do you have some classification of defense?
When I say classification, I say that we need to separate your personal applied techniques from all the other techniques you're learning. Mm-hmm. In other words, there are two sets. For instance, you know what a carpenter is? A person who buildings and buildings and houses and stuff? Yeah. All right. Well, he has what you call a tool pouch. Mm-hmm. A little leather tool pouch. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. What does he put in the tool pouch? He puts in nails, hammer, measuring tape. Yes. Okay, so all he does is he puts in tools that are specifically related to what he does. Of course. He put in a hair dryer. He doesn't put in all these other things. Well, you have a martial arts tool pouch. Bruce Lee said you should become a master at what you actually would use in self-defense. Mm-hmm. And the rest is just outside of that. In other words, you can get good at it, but what you do is you try and determine how many things would take care of about 99% of the fights you might get in. What are the few techniques? Well, we found out there were no more than 12. Mm-hmm. Usually about 6 or 7 minimum, 12 maximum. Mm-hmm. Mine, I have about 8. Bruce had 12. Mm-hmm. Bruce was truly a master at those 12, and me at almost 80 years old, I'm still a master at my 8, which means that I feel very comfortable. If you assault me on the street, I will destroy you. Not with martial arts or Wing Chun Do or DeMile JKD, but with my tool pouch. Mm-hmm. So when we classify, when we're training, we tell people, as you're training, you select out things that you personally really, really like, that you feel you're very good at, that would work for you in the kind of fights that you think you might get into. And we refer to it as the tool pouch. Things about speed, power, entry technique, like my lunge pose, engagement, entrapping, how do I get a hold of it? This type of a thing. That's what we classify self-defense. It's referred to as the tool pouch. Mm-hmm. Everything outside of that is peripheral training that supports the tool pouch. Yeah. They support. It's just like the carpenter doesn't carry everything with him, but he uses other things around him. Other tools, the saw, the ladder, a lot of, but he doesn't carry it.
Can you tell, please, about the right walking, right footwork when we fight to make the shorter distance to our opponent?
We have what they call a closed by zone. Open by zone, closed by zone. Now, I mentioned the other day the threat zone, the distance that you are from the opponent.
Yeah.
What we practice from there is entry.
Entering.
Now, that's where now you add in, okay, what type of entry? Where you got the lunge close, the steal a step close, the step over close, the run over close, blah, 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 blah. You've got a bunch of closes. That's to close that gap, depending on whether he's a karate man, a kicker, a boxer, a jiu-jitsu man. You will select out the close that you feel is appropriate. Next is, when you go in, what do? Well, we go into what is called the closed by zone. The closed by zone is our fighting stance. The fighting stance means that we're very mobile, we're very solid for technique, either trapping or hitting, yet we can move very quickly if the opponent tries to get away. So we have open by zone means that I'm standing in front of you and you do not realize that I'm a fighter, that I have any skill. In other words, I'm not standing in a stance. Now, I've decided there's going to be a fight. Maybe my family's there, or the guy's crazy, and I decide there's going to be a fight.
Yes.
So I attack him.
Yeah.
So that means I'm going to change my open by zone into an attack open by zone. He still doesn't realize I'm about to attack him, but what I'm doing is I'm subtly switching my feet and loading my energy, so I'm like a coiled spring. Boom! I'm on him. All right? So that is the setup.
Okay, how we move the foots in the fight?
Imagine somebody standing away from you.
Yeah.
You stick out your leg as high as and as straight as it'll go, and your opponent stands 2 to 3 inches further than that.
Yes.
You drop the leg.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now that means that you are a certain distance from the opponent. He cannot touch you. You cannot quite touch him.
Yes.
Now I've got to get in on this guy.
Yeah.
Now most people want to get in and punch, or they want to get in and kick.
Yeah.
But in that distance to punch or kick is really too far without telegraphing, without really forewarning he's coming if he's trained, your opponent's trained. So instead of us wanting to go from here to here to hit him in whatever, we go from here to here.
Yeah.
Half the distance. Why? Because we are after the hands. We're not after the body, we're after the hands. And Wing Chun, seeking the hands is their goal.
Yes.
So that means I only have to close a very small distance, maybe no more than a foot. Well, you know, a foot isn't very far.
Yeah.
But that foot allows me to get deep very quickly and engage your hand. That's why we draw out the hands. Or if the guy's a boxer, we attack the hands. So this is why it's important to understand that conventional fighting is different than self-defense from Bruce Lee's thinking. Because when I first met Bruce, I was used to jabbing and person trying to hit me, and there was a certain distance.
Yes.
But we were trying to hit each other. Bruce didn't try and hit you. Bruce was after the hands.
Yes.
Because when he touched your hands, there was nothing you could do.
Yes.
So therefore now, his defense was built in, but at the same time he could hit you. This is why I have to demonstrate something before a person truly understands what I'm saying, because it's illogical to them because they don't understand trapping.